In the dead of night, when the moon is high and ill winds blow, and the banshees cry and the moonlight casts an unearthly glow, arise, my love, with tales of woe.
Good evening. It is 12 midnight, the paranormal hour. Welcome to Ghost to Ghost. I'm your host, Chief Lawson. Ghost to Ghost is a podcast to discuss all paranormal and parapsychology subjects. You can find Ghost to Ghost on all major formats, so tell your friends, tell your family. Come listen to Ghost to Ghost. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is the midnight hour. It is time for Ghost to Ghost. Tonight, we take a very unique and deep dive into our own group, Spirit Paranormal Indiana. Now, most people don't realize that, listen to Ghost, we are a product of Spirit Paranormal Indiana, which is our parent group. This is where it all began. We are a parapsychology group. We are the oldest and largest parapsychology group in Indiana. I'll make that claim without the least bit of problem. First off, Ghost to Ghost is provided to you by us. We came out, about almost 3 years ago. Before that, we operated solely as a paranormal group, which we still do. But this is just one of the benefits, would you say? Benefits
side
of the
projects.
group. Yeah, side projects. So we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the group, how we operate, and I hope this isn't boring to anybody, but this certainly gives you an insight. A lot of people, when they interview me, and every time I'm in one of these podcast interviews, first thing they say is, what makes you different than everybody else? That's the very first question they always ask me. What is so different about Spirit Paranormal Indiana? Okay, first of all, SPIRIT, it's an acronym. Special Paranormal Investigation Research Indiana Team. Did you get that right?
Investigation Team?
Investigation Team. Yeah, I may have listed a few letters there. Special Paranormal Investigation Research Indiana Team. That's what it stands for. So anyway.
Of Indiana?
Of Indiana. Don't look at me. This is what we ended up with. So Spirit Paranormal. So Special Paranormal Investigation Research Indiana Team Paranormal Indiana. Redundancy wasn't an issue back then.
Indiana's so great it has to be in there twice.
Yes. Yeah, it is what it is. So it is what it is. So anyway, so the long story short, we ended up with this as a certainly as an acronym. Back then, our biggest thing we looked at, our benchmark or our motto was TAPS. TAPS was an acronym for the Atlantic Paranormal Association. So we were looking for Society. Did I say association? Oh, I'm sorry. Society. So anyway.
Sorry, Jason.
You were thinking of
sorry,
tapas.
Jason. Grant. I was thinking what? Yeah.
Tapas.
I was thinking the bottle of scotch I got into earlier. Anyway.
Tapas.
Hey, Dave Schrader. This is to you, lad. Anyway.
And Greg.
And Greg Lawson, my cousin, just so you know. My kidneys are still alive, and so is my liver. Anyway.
That's what the ER doctor said anyway.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I was really surprised when he told me that it was there.
Oh.
Anyway, in 1999, I grew up watching, the first show was certainly the British BBC version of, the show was called Most Haunted. Had Karen O'Keefe and Darren O'Keefe as the two lead spots. They were parapsychologists in England. And so I grew up, I watched these, and I read books on Hans Hosler and certainly on Price, the first real true and photo, some of the first parapsychologists that worked in the field. So anyway, when it come time, the first American show really out there was Ghost Hunters, and it featured a team called TAPS, which is the Atlantic Paranormal Society, Jason and Grant. And oh my God, they worked out of a construction trailer, I think, in Jason's backyard. And this is where it all started. So we geared a lot of things off of that. We liked their methodology. And the more I read in parapsychology, the more I understood about methodology. And we had the same methodology. We dealt with debunking methodology. So in 1999, I started looking at this group, and I started saying, what's wrong? I've been in other groups. I was in a group prior to that, and I'm not going to name a lot of names. But anyway, one of the things I identified from that group was they had a lot of politics involved. These people were unhappy. Every year they ran a new person for president. They changed over presidents. They had one person running it. It was a fiasco. It was like a PTA on drugs. Oh my God, it was a mess.
Did they have term
Sounds like
limits?
Did they have what?
Term limits.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, which Congress doesn't. We should point that out. So I'm just talking about a certain senator from Kentucky. Anyway, but yeah. If we had term limits.
Cough, cough, wink, wink.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. Cough, cough, link, wink. Yeah. So anyway, and I love the great state of Kentucky being a colonel, but that son of a bitch needs to go. Anyway, he's a Republican, same as I. Now, at this table, we have a lot. I don't want to say that because I don't want to ruin this broadcast, but we have Republicans. Eric is a Democrat.
Yes.
I mean, we all get along. We all love each other. But, in the end of things, in the long day of things, the bottom line is you have to get along. Am I wrong?
No.
No.
I didn't think so.
It's important.
It's important. And I mean, in scientific research, you have to be able to work together. So anyway, in 99, we were watching all this, and we decided, hey, we want to put together our group. But, IPI, which was a group I was with before, had a lot of politics. And everybody argued. There was a lot of infighting. They got more political issues going than they did actual parapsychology issues. So they weren't forwarding the science very much. So I decided when I left, my goal was, one, to start a group without the politics. And how do you get rid of the politics? You don't take anybody from other groups. Mm-hmm. You take people, you train them the way you want them to be, and that's how it works out. Now, that didn't always work out, and I'll tell you that because we had several people along the way. And bear in mind, our concept was 99, and we came into effect really in 2000. So we've been around, all practical purposes, about 25 years. Over the years, we've had people come in. I had one guy in particular, which I won't name names. I mean, not even jokingly. A good guy. He really, truly was. And he had tried to form his own paranormal group. He came to us and said, here's what I did. And, it didn't really make out to much. And we didn't make it. And he joined, and his wife joined, and a friend joined, and the friend's wife. And before long, it was a problem. Because they always brought the politics in from the previous group. The one thing I loved about going through OCS was, in the Navy, they would tell you, we're going to break you and make you in our mold. It doesn't matter what you knew before. That's all bullshit's out the door because we want you to understand how we're going to do this. So our trainings, we have truly engineered to be that way. So having said that, okay, so in 2000, we put together this group. And this is right before 9/11, and before all this comes out. Now, I looked at some other groups. I had friends. I had a guy named Dennis who ran South Indy Paranormal. I knew Mary and Sean from 911 Paranormal. Great people, and they had their own groups and so forth. I will say this. This is Season 3, Episode 22. Did I say 22? 23? Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
22. Okay,
22.
yeah, right. And this is the end of 2024. We're still here. Dennis ended up, great guy, still loving this day, ended up buying a pizza business. And I don't know what happened to him. I think he bought 2 shops, and he no longer is in the paranormal. Mary and Sean, both from the emergency medical community, much like myself being a fire chief, they retired, moved to Florida, and closed out their groups. Longevity is something we have, and I think it's very important.
Well, you can almost understand with Mary and Sean, though.
I don't blame him. I want to retire too, but I won't give this up.
No, but
This is my retirement.
they moved, and so
They did. They went to Florida, and I don't blame them. Now they face hurricanes and the rest of the weird bunches down there, all the abductees from MUFON. Anyway, did I say that out loud?
That was their choice, though.
Yeah.
Some people actually are from Florida and then they move north for some unknown reason.
Am I picking on
Which
you
is-
now?
Yes,
Eric?
they do.
Am I picking on you? Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
but you're
You
from
didn't get
here.
abducted. You didn't get an anal
But
probe.
you're from here.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No, he's not.
Oh.
No.
I'm from
no.
Florida.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
your
part of
family's
Florida?
from here.
My mom's family is from Terre Haute,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What part of Florida?
Ocala.
Ocala. Okay,
Yeah.
that wasn't the part that got the anal probe from the aliens, right?
It depends on how you look at it.
I know that was
trust
Miami.
me, I went to school with a lot of people that may have been probed.
Or should have.
Or should have and deserve
Should
it.
have, would have, could have. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
As much as I'd love to delve into that, we're going to leave that alone.
That's another
for
episode.
ratings. That's another episode all
Yeah.
its own. You know, and I have to laugh because I have family in Florida, and I know Heather does too, and so we're not going to get in any further than that. So anyway, I wanted to take the military fire service organizational approach to organizing a new group. And I wanted to use, initially, I took it on myself to say, hey, I was trained by the participant observer approach, which means I immerse myself in the study of parapsychology, making myself a pro tem expert. I read all the Hosler books, I read the Harry Price books, the photo books. I mean, I went through everything. And in the end, I came up with what I called a pseudo expert in parapsychology. So I wanted to make a team that didn't have the politics and so forth. Now, everybody knows I'm a Freemason. I'm a Shriner. I'm very proud of that. I stand for the Shriner hospitals and everything else. And the first son of a bitch that tells you there's no politics in Freemasonry, you got to take him out back and shoot him because that's not true. Yeah, I mean, they're all over the place. I mean, it all depends. It's no different than the fire department, the police department. When politics change, so does your life. So, knowing that we were all Freemasons in 99 when we put this together, I reached out to my best buddy, Ed Adams. Now, Ed is a fantastic individual. He's well accomplished. He's also the shortest individual I've ever met in my life outside of Barnum and Bailey Circus. So anyway, being very small, which has nothing to do with this, but I want to point that out at least 2 more times because his son asked me to. Anyway, but I and Ed spent some time together after our divorces. We lived together for a while. We roomed together. I think the world of Ed. I really do. He lives out in a western county in Indiana, and I'm not going to give that out. But anyway, we decided to form the group. And it took a lot to develop the acronym and everything. But we started talking about where are we going to look for members at? So the first thing we thought of, hey, the Shrine and the Masonic Lodge, we'll make this a Masonic parapsychology group. Sounded good when we started out.
How'd that go?
Yeah, not really well. We got 6
look
members.
where we're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we took a vote on how many, they're in the group to this day, 2024, coming from 1999, other than myself, Heather's going to go in the Eastern Star, 1 with a possibility of 2 in the coming. So anyway,
Yeah.
we started out with 6 members, and one of them I miss dearly. I still miss him these days. Great guy. I haven't seen him in a long time. His name's Ray. He's an electrician. Good guy. I get a drink of scotch. Big Hawaiian guy. Really loved him to death. I really did. We put this together, and one thing I wanted was loyalty. One key thing that I found out in the military and the fire service is loyalty. What be your wife, your girlfriend, and please don't bring both to a party. But either way, loyalty is the most important thing because the question is, will you stay with me? Ability to follow orders. Oh my God, there's a lot of, I can tell you from the fire service, there's a lot of idiots out there.
There are a lot of people that don't take direction very well.
No,
you have to be able to do that.
And Eric manages a business, so he
Sorry.
knows this. There are some people that would hump flagpoles, for lack of better things to do.
There are some people that you can tell them the most obvious thing and they will argue with a brick wall.
Exactly. And it's incredible to realize how many stupid people are out there unmedicated and unsupervised. Anyway, and that's what keeps the fire department and police department in business. I'm just saying. But that was one thing. Integrity was another. Personal integrity. We have a lot of people, especially younger folks, and I'm going to attack immediately, Gen Z and woke individuals. They just don't seem to care. They have a different view of life than we do as being, so yeah, I'm sure we're going to lose, some votes on this one. Anyway,
You just can't take it personally.
no, you can't. Don't take it personally because I've been drinking a lot. You shouldn't do that. Anyway, ownership or vested interest. We want every member to have a vested interest. We want them to feel like, hey, this is a part of me. This is my group as much as it's Chief and Ed's. I want to put my best foot forward to ensure that whatever happens, that this is my group. This is where I want to be. So this is what I will look for. Be somewhat of tech savvy. One thing about it is we want people to be able to do emails, to be able to go online, we had to communicate. And that has helped. That has helped and hurt us over the years, I'll be honest.
Well, you're also using equipment.
Exactly.
That's not necessarily the easiest to work with.
No, and I mean,
It's
if a
very
guy...
technical.
Yes.
If a guy can't read an email or, be able to read a text, he's probably not going to be able to operate an EMF meter or anything.
No.
The question is, I look at a guy and say, can this guy operate a toaster? I'm just saying.
That's asking a lot.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
that's asking, yeah.
I don't know.
And that's not always younger people.
My
either.
youngest stepson, I love him dearly. He wants to be either a fireman or a park ranger. And at times, this kind of a kid has an appetite that could sink the sex fleet. I mean, he eats anything, including paint chips, given half a chance. I mean, he's a big, solid lad. I love him to death. I consider him my own. But, oh, my God, sometimes when he speaks, I sit there and go, oh, it's going to be a rough road for this kid. I think that just comes with that generation. I mean, I really do. I don't think it's a
I
bad
wonder
thing.
if our parents said the same thing about us.
Well, I'm sure
certain
they did.
I'm certain of it.
It is what it is, and I try to tell myself that this is where my dad was back in the day. But, oh, my God, there's some worry. There's some real worry. So, anyway, without getting – that's a show in itself. We're going to get on that tangent.
I mean,
we
if
don't
you
want to
think
get
about
there.
it, my parents worked 18 hours a day, came home, ate the equivalent of one Ritz cracker, went to bed, and watched,
it all
rinse,
again.
repeat.
Yeah.
Sure. And I'll tell you what, I always tell people, Heather's my fourth wife. I'm her second husband. We've been there. I always love it because somebody will ask me, he says, do you have nerve problems? Well, no, I don't have nerve problems. I have 3 ex-wives. I have 8 children in total, 6 grandchildren. I don't have any goddamn nerves. They left a long time ago. I spent time in the Navy and the fire department. Shit. Somebody can fire a firecracker off behind me. I walk around and go, that's all you got.
Listen, I believe in this business, you have to have exes.
You do.
As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I'm on wife number 2, and actually she's lovely, and she's a part of Spirit Indiana.
She's
and
a very nice lady.
I'm not going to divulge
She's
how many
somewhere at
she's had.
home doing a social media post.
She is.
Hint. Anyway, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I am not her first, but
Yeah.
I'm certainly her best.
There you go. That's the
Yeah.
way to look at it.
Yeah,
I like
it's the only
that.
way to
I'll have
look
to
at it.
remember to use that.
Yeah.
I always love that because people tell me, I go look at them, I go, I have no nerves.
Yeah.
And they look at me. And they, my grandkids, I'll never forget this. One Thanksgiving, I was at my daughter's house. I went to sleep. She goes, there was 8 screaming kids. I go, and your point
And?
is, I need a nap. I learned in the military to sleep anywhere when you had an opportunity. I can tune out anything. It doesn't really matter much,
Exactly.
and it's kind of funny how we came up. But anyway, I wanted, not only to tech savvy, but I want someone that had to find time. The big thing is, 2 things that require in membership: financial ability and time. The funny thing is the financial ability we can all work around with, throw a little bit in here and there, and we all take care of each other. There's times we've all.
We're a
and
family.
let me tell you what. Yeah, we're a
Yes.
family. That Heather made it right there clear. That's the best thing in the world. We are a family. So when we take someone in, we have to look at you and say, will you fit in our family? Will you be that sister or brother we want? When I first started, I sent this team to Paracons. Paracons were very expensive. I was divorced. I was living on a shoestring. And I'll tell you what, and I'm going to embarrass Andrew Brooks, my chief of staff. I was broke as shit. I was living in the ghetto. And one Valentine's Day, him and his wife, Lori, sweet lady, came and got me and said, we're going to take you out for Valentine's Day. And I was really kind of bewildered. I mean, you don't usually... And they took me down to Hotel Tango, which is a wonderful custom mixologist. Knowing I'm a mixologist, they wanted to take me to a bar that was equivalent. They bought me dinner, and they took me out. It was a fabulous time. I've never forgotten it. I never will. It'll be one of the high points of my life forever. I've always been indebted to Andrew and Lori. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Some meals were buying a Velveeta block and Zesta crackers. That made a wonderful filling meal. And that box of crackers and that Velveeta block would make 2 meals. And it was very inexpensive. So, I mean, I've been there. And I'll tell you, in the bottom line, it makes a difference when we're all sticking together. And you know, I mean that truthfully. And so that's a big importance. The other thing is the financial end of it, not so much as the ability to put the time in. We, you know, and I'll tell you, me and Heather are very fortunate not being retired, so to speak. You know, we don't have the constraints. Now, Eric, I know you work. You're in a management capacity.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know.
And I'm highly medicated because of it.
That's right. And oh my God, nothing says better than antidepressant and alcohol.
Oh,
anyway, but I'm just saying it. I just realized my glass is empty and the bottle's on the damn bar. Anyway, the bottom line though is, I think that deep down it makes a very big difference to have that attachment. There's nothing that bonds people quicker than a road trip. That's when you learn how to live with people. You know, me and Heather.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can tell a little bit about that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. You know, until you've been on the road with somebody, you don't realize their attributes and their traits, okay? Yeah. In the military, you travel with large groups. You get used to that. But, I mean, it comes with the program.
Apparently, the Army and the Navy don't navigate the same way.
No. Yeah, but you can't remember, you know, there's difference between officers and enlisted, too. So, I mean, there's a lot of barriers there that are different. But in the long term of things, it's different. I'll just tell you, and you realize how different people are, and either you can make it or you're not going to make it together. So, you know, and certainly our job involves driving. Okay, we cover the entire state of Indiana, a little bit outside of that. When I say a little bit, we don't go far. If it gets too far, we give it to a group in that state that's a group that we have some
kind of relationship with.
Yes.
Unless somebody would like to fund us.
Yes.
In which case, I would probably accept.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, I'm often go back to the fact that when me and Ed, many, many years ago, when Jason Grant thought about giving up Ghost Hunters, they were looking for a replacement group. And they asked us, would you be willing to quit your job and go into this broadcast? Now, I'm just going around the table, just for fun, shits and giggles. So we have many offers. I want to make that very importantly clear. No one has offered this. So,
no.
But Eric, if I ask you today, would you go on the road with me?
You know what? I would.
Okay. Heather?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's easy for me and her. We don't have any better to do other than take the dog with us.
Mia definitely would. I'll vote for her.
So, you know, and
Where else
I think,
am I going to go?
You know, Andrew has a wonderful career. I don't know that
I don't think he would.
No. Tim probably, I don't know. It's 50-50 on Tim. Tim is our tech manager.
Say how much?
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. I'd look it over. But in the long term of things,
Angie might tell him to say yes, though.
You never know. Andrew may be tired of the program.
Angie.
Oh, Angie might. Yeah. That's Tim's wife. Yeah, he might. Yeah. So anyway, certainly it's a possibility. Things we don't want from people. One things we've learned over the years is we don't want freelancers. I've had people go, oh, well, I'm a member of Spirit. They'll wear their shirt. They'll run down to Kentucky to, I don't know, there's or Ohio or any place else, but they'll go to like the Waverly Sanitarium or something. Oh, I'm on an official investigation. I'm running this, and next thing we know, they're posting on our behalf. We recently had, when I say recently, in the last 3 years, we had to remove some members, one member in particular, because one thing happens is when you become part of Spirit, you have a non-compete agreement. Now, it's multifaceted. That means you're not going to start a podcast. You're not going to start a paranormal university. You're not going to start a parapsychology research team. There's a lot of things you're not going to start.
While
Apparent-
with us.
with us. Well, with us,
Yeah.
but not against us. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
While with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the problem is these folks started mildly with going out, investigating on their own, making, and the next thing I know, they make their own podcast. And when I asked this individual, the individual said, well, it's not in competition. This is something different. I go, I'm sorry. Is it a parapsychology broadcast? Yes. Is it investigated haunted sites? Yes. I'm sorry. How do you figure it's different? Well, it doesn't use a full team. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, I mean, come on. You're bullshitting me. I mean, let's be real. No experts. Let me tell you what. And a lot of people call me an expert. I don't think that's accurate. We learn every day. There's new things we learn every day. I don't think experts could actually be out there. Other teams. No, you can't be on another team in our team. It doesn't work that way. If you're not, then you need to be on the other team. Good luck. Thank you, lad. You're no longer needed here. It's not a democracy. It's an imocracy. I'll be honest with you. We don't have elections. I'm going to be the leader of this group to the day I die. I'll pass it on. So if you have hopes, yeah, you probably should find another group. It's not how this works. I've done this a long time. We're a very successful group. We're a very successful podcast. We're a very successful educational cycle. We know what we're doing. It's non-professional. In other words, you don't get a dime for this. If you're signing on thinking you're going to make fame and fortune, dear God, you're mistaken.
You're in the wrong line of work.
Yeah, buy a fifth, watch TV. If you're wanting to learn how to start a group, we're not a training facility. I mean, I've had many times people say, you really should offer a class to train these other groups. Well, you get a point. In some ways, I think, wow, if we did that, we wouldn't have the problems with these amateur groups out here. And I'm not going to deface any group, but there's some amateur groups out there that have started in the garage or the back bedroom, and they really don't know what they're doing. And they make a lot of problems. They piss people off, especially clients. And then we have problems when we go to try to, step out there. So with that in mind, yeah, we talked about that back and forth. The last thing is not having an open mind. I have a lot of people call me, and there's a very fine line between open mind and, yeah, we may be talking about a psychological issue. Just so people understand, since 1999, and this broadcast is in 2024, we've had 33 former members. That's a lot.
Yes.
Divide that down. I mean, if you take a look at it, in 25 years, at best, this is like 2 members a year or better. Okay. We are looking at putting some new members on right now. Now, we have a bylaws book. It's called the Handbook. Okay, and it's the large volume, and it was started by me and Ed. And, being a member of Shrine Groups, we put this together as kind of a bylaws and constitution of a club, and we expanded upon it. The group is capped at 10 people. The most people we can have active is 10 people and 5 subject matter experts. Okay, right now we're talking about putting on some new members. Why? Because we need the help. Eric and me work a full-time job. Andrew, my chief of staff, works full-time job. Jennifer Verne, our research manager, works full-time job. Tim Webb, our tech manager, works full-time job. The only one that doesn't work full-time jobs are me and Heather.
Yeah.
We own a couple businesses, and we are retirees. So, I mean, we need the help.
Between our businesses, though, it's pretty much full-time.
It is. And so we need the help. So we're looking at putting some members on. Types of membership. Full membership, and let me say this. The full membership, if you're looking at our website, are members that are completely in the group. When I say that, it's not really a good way to describe it. They're let's go back to this. There are members that conduct investigations. They are parapsychology trainees, and that's their job. They go out with us as a team. They investigate, and they help review evidence, okay? SME, or subject matter experts, these are members that do not go out on investigations. Their job is to provide a subject matter that they're an expert in to us. Okay, Kevin Scott is a subject matter expert. He is our weather our amateur meteorologist. When we're on an investigation, he conducts our weather. He watches over us until 4 a.m. until we clear. And he also provides the solar weather. So he's very important. We are looking for, and I'm telling you, if you're listening to this broadcast, you're in Indiana and you're a realtor, call us. We need a real estate broker for ultimate reasons of research. We really want one. We want clergy. We want a lawyer. These are things that we've had and lost, so we need those members. Those are subject matter expert members. We'll work with you if you want to come online.
Are you suggesting that we need somebody to pray for us?
Yes, because God knows the prayers, we need all we can get.
Some of us need them a lot.
Yeah, more than others. I mean, but it still is what it is.
Sure.
So, and maybe an exorcism. Who knows? Anyway,
You never know.
interns. We don't really use those anymore. I mean, if you go through our handbook, there's interns, there's reserves. Reserves are people we bring on and we train them, but they don't go out next. They're set there for the next person that drops out. They can fill that position. There's a lot of different membership. But the key ones to remember are the full-time members, the SME, subject matter expert members, and that's it. So, about the recruiting process, okay? And, I'll be honest with you, this is a long process. And
yes,
this was...
it is.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't know you were getting into, did you?
Dad,
No,
no idea
I-
what you were coming up with, did you now?
I had no idea I was being judged the way I was.
Well,
But
and
it's
I'll
okay.
tell you,
I understand.
this was developed from the police department, fire department, NASA, and Microsoft. You talk about a hell of a mix. This is where the recruitment came from. Okay, so I'm going to say that our recruitment's probably the most legendary, infamous. A lot of different things that could go through there.
Extraneous.
Extraneous.
I needed the clergy.
Yeah, they need the prayers.
Yes.
So, let's cover this a little bit. Again, when I developed this thing, back in the day in 1999, no, we didn't have this. And we had a problem with retention. We couldn't keep members. I wanted members that lasted a long time. We're one of the only groups, and I'm solid in this, to say that we are the only group that has retirees. We have 3 retirees that have been with the group long enough, and our bylaws it requires, or our handbook requires you to be a member at least 5 years before you can retire. These guys have been a lot longer than that, and they outbuild Spirit to what it is today. So having that in mind, I mean, it's incredible to look back and say, this is how this works. So essentially, the first thing you do is if you email us, and by the way, the email is info, I-N-F-O, at Spirit Indiana, SPIRITINDIANA.com, and say, hey, I'd like to be one of you. And we're like the Marines. We're the few, the proud, the intoxicated. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyway, but yeah,
I'm drinking coffee. Speak for yourself.
Yeah, there you are.
What's in that coffee?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah. So anyway,
Inquiring minds.
it takes a lot to be one of us because we are very choosy. We don't want this dynamic of the group disrupted. We want somebody can fold in and add to it and maybe help us to enhance this. So we're very, very picky. I'm not going to lie to you. So once the application comes back, it's still on my desk, okay? And I take a look at it and decide if I like it. I send a copy to my chief of staff, Andrew Brooks. If I like it and I think it's okay, I accept it and I move you to stage 2. And I send you the dreaded questionnaire.
Dun, dun, dun.
Tell me about the questionnaire,
Dun, dun, dun,
Eric,
dun,
on your
dun.
opinion. What was like that?
The questionnaire, it was... I don't want to give it away because if people are filling this out, let me just tell you that you spend a lot of time really thinking about it. That's what I'll say.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Making sure you choose the right choices. But just be yourself, really. But
Yeah. The one thing I can say is don't try to figure out what we want. I got people that try to psychoanalyze us and say, I get this in the fire and police end of it when we have merit board, interviews, and they'll go, what answer do they want? I don't want to know what answer I want. I want to know what answer you're going to give. That's how I can measure. Some people end up getting cut because they screw up and try to go after the answer they think I want.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Just fill it out. I mean, it's very long. How many questions is it? Do anybody remember?
No, but it's a lot.
It's more than 200. Let me
yeah,
put it
it's
this
a
way.
lot.
I'd have to look to tell you, but it's more than 200. Okay, so that's phase 2. If your questionnaire is accepted, and we got a couple people on the cycle right now, then you go to the oral interview. If it's accepted, you're passed to that. Now, the oral interview requires that there be at least 3 members or more involved. And we used to do this online through MS Teams. And you're brought in and you're asked a lot of questions. The interview lasts about an hour. I'm not going to lie to you. People go, oh my God, it's for a fucking volunteer organization that doesn't pay. You're damn right. But you want to be one of us, this is what you have to pay. By the way, we tell you have to get a tattoo to be one of us. I mean, I'm just saying.
One
Anyway,
of us.
yeah, one of us. No, we don't require a tattoo, but we may after next meeting. Who knows? We're voting that in. Anyway, but no, honesty, the oral interview serves 2 purposes. Well, it serves a lot of purposes. Different sections do different things. It tells us about you. Some of it's psychological, some of it isn't. Some of the sections you think is psychological won't. You know, one of the greatest books I ever read was called was actually called PC Roadkill. It was about all the Silicon Valley companies when they hired. And I actually got to interview for Microsoft Office. They came here, and back in the eon days of the 80s when before I went in the service, I was in college. And Washington Square was actual mall, not a round-down, you know.
Not a demilitarized zone.
Yeah, not a Mad Max area, you know.
I avoid it like the plague.
Most smart people will. And when I went in there, they had these interviews, and he showed up. And I'll never forget the guy ahead of me. And it's in the book. The guy says, I'm an expert on DOS. And he's looking at this guy from Microsoft who apparently had been the designer of DOS. And the guy looks at him and says, well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. By the way, I wrote it. So you can't tell me what the memory call is at this location. This guy just folds his shit up and walks off.
Next.
And I'm thinking, next. You know, some of the answers they had. Why are manhole covers round? Well, right there. That says it all. The answers made a big difference. And I really loved that test. I finally got a copy of the test after I reached out when I didn't make it. By the way, I didn't make it. I chose not to. I really went to just have fun. I had no intention to be part of Microsoft. If they'd offered me a job...
Who goes to interviews just for fun?
Well, you know, it's a big thing in the 80s. You know, Microsoft was the mother of all micro Silicon Valley gods. And it came down, I just wanted to see if I could make it, even though I had a career already planned in the Navy. So I just wanted to see if I could make it.
Did you make it?
No, but it was a lot of fun. I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
You know, I actually scored very high. I really did. But the thing is they took on 700 applicants in Indiana. Indiana wasn't the only state. They actually ended up like 50,000 applications. In the retrospect, I scored high in Indiana. Not so much when you put it across.
Everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else. So, but I got a chance to see their questions and everything, and certainly I invoked them in a lot of this. So sometimes the questions are just asked to see if you'll answer them. Sometimes they tell us about your personality. Sometimes they tell us about, you know, a lot of things, your integrity. A lot of these answers are built in. Some of it's psychological, some of it isn't. The stuff you think may be a psych exam may not be. We may just be asking it. One question in general, do you like hamburgers or cheeseburgers? I had a guy tell me once, he says, what's the psychological value of that? I said, not shit. I just wanted to know, do you like cheeseburgers, hamburgers? I like cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
We just did that to see how you would answer
I
it.
do not.
Cheese is everything.
There you go. So
I like
some
cheese,
people
not on my burger.
psychoanalyze this and get into problems. It's not like that. So once a questionnaire and the oral interview is done, the oral interview, people go, how do I prep for that? It's like asking how you prep for a colonoscopy. I mean, you know, I can't tell you because...
I can tell you how you prep for that. I've had it twice, and I'm not interested.
Eric and I both have been there, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you should never eat a whole quart of buffalo chicken dip beforehand because I tell you... Now,
also, can I just tell you that I woke up during one of my colonoscopies?
I've heard people do that.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
No, I asked for more sedative.
Well, at
Funny
least
thing
you
was-
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never woke up, but I remember when I did wake up, again, 2 days beforehand, I ate this whole quart of buffalo chicken dip. So when I went to do the prep the next day, nothing was working, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, I ate a quart of, with a
He'd
spoon.
already done a cleanse.
It's not clackers. I mean, I did this with a spoon. So when it was over with,
I remember waking up in the gynecologist. Yeah, dear God, the
proctologist.
Proctologist. No,
That's different.
Yeah. It was one of those California hospitals.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, yeah, well, we don't have any more listeners in that state.
Uh-oh.
He looked at me and said, "You have the cleanest colon I've ever seen." Really?
Yeah.
And I swear to God, he looks at me and says, "Are you okay? Are you out of pain?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Can I get you anything?" I said, "I'd like to have my sponge bath now." And, this lady that was the nurse looked at me and says, "I hate firemen." I go, "Yeah, so does my ex-wife." Anyway, so having said that, you gotta enjoy. Yeah, da-da-dum-dum. Yeah, rim shot. So anyway, yeah, but honestly, we're there. Don't try to figure it out. Just relax and answer it. You got a better chance of being part of the group. Now, I'll tell you, I'd like to think that we're a giant mixing pot. We have Republicans, Democrats. We have pacifists, non-pacifists. We have. I'm just trying to make comparisons here. We have people from all walks of life.
We have a Canadian.
We have a Canadian, and we're gonna have to hide her because once Trump comes to office, we want her deported.
She's going back.
Yeah, damn. Anyway,
Mexican.
yeah, but
Well, she's a snow Mexican.
Yeah, she's a snow Mexican.
what's a snow Mexican?
You're north of the
Canadians.
border.
No shit,
Yeah.
that's a snow Mexican. I gotta remember
Because
that.
they're north of the
North of the border. Okay.
Yeah.
Mexicans
So
are
snow
south.
Mexican. So we're gonna need disguises. Anybody wants to send those in? Me will appreciate it. As we hide her, we hide
I'm a
a
legal Mexican.
illegal felon. Anyway,
For now.
For now.
Thanks.
No. Yeah. Anyway, but that's the fun part. Now
I'm going to
if
get a
you-
mustache now. Like you were saying for Mia. The little...
Yeah, I don't want to go there. I have a lot of answers, but
The-
none that will. The FCC won't
he
take
wants
us off
to
the
get
air.
Mia one of those gaucho marks.
Groucho.
Yeah,
Not
Groucho
Gaucho.
Marx.
Gaucho's Mexican. Groucho is
Gaucho
Marx.
Marx.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Gaucho Marx.
That is
Yeah.
very different.
Yes. Either way.
Yeah.
The glasses with the nose and the
Yeah.
mustache.
She might already have it. You don't know.
Hey, I don't want to know
This
what
is
you do in
your
your
life. And oh my God, I probably aged myself
You know what
there.
you
A
do
lot
in
of
your
people don't
bedroom is what
realize
you do,
that
but-
show.
Well,
Yeah. Anyway, so if you make the oral interview, then you get accepted. Okay, and we take you in at that point. Okay, and one thing we tell people is don't buy equipment. Why? Well, because you're going to use team equipment. And we'll talk about that.
Plenty.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that down the road. Equipment you need to buy is a black t-shirt, a black sweatshirt, plain. If you like Fruit of the Loom, okay, that's not part of the test. But anyway, if you get plain, yeah, I mean, certainly, t-shirts, sweatshirts, you want at least one. Now, I'll tell you, I just recently paid a bill with LaDonna, our reporter. I think I own. Well, you own a dress. Heather even
I have
owns
a dress.
She even has a spirit dress. I probably have 5 or 6.
Oh,
shirts.
wow.
But we do a
Yes.
lot of PR
Styling.
events, and we have to be there. So I recommend everybody to have at least 4 days of clothing, 4 shirts. Reason why is we go to Paracon, you need at least 4 shirts. Now you don't have 4 sweatshirts, but you need at least 4. A couple short sleeve, couple long sleeve. I mean, work this out. Maybe a t-shirt thrown in. Because, and we'll talk about that directly, you need that. So when you show up at spirit meetings, we expect you in black t-shirt and you've earned the right to have embroidery. So, having said that, once we decide that we're going to bring you in, okay, you're going to become a member. At that point, I want to cover one thing about it too, is when you decide to become a member, we're going to tell you that you have to go through our boot camp. Eric, tell me what your impressions were the first time you went through our boot camp. Well, you only go through once, but when you were brought in, yeah.
Yeah, no. Definitely, it's a lot to learn. I mean, I had no practical experience in this field per se.
Yeah.
I had a very strong desire. I was well read.
And you moved from Florida to here,
I
right?
moved from Florida to
That's
here.
where we picked you and Mia up from, was coming into here.
Yes,
right?
and I will say that I was just like everybody else. I watched Ghost Adventures, and
I'm
and
sorry.
by the
we'll
way,
pray for you, lad.
yeah,
we really will.
there's
yeah.
the clergy again.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you that something you don't know is that I
Please.
was going through my box of books to thin them out, and I am so disappointed in myself. I actually own 2 Zach Bagans books. And
That's all.
yeah,
Some own more. I mean,
half price books might want to buy one of them.
I gotta get over there one of these days. I mean, we go to Bob McGee's all the time,
Yeah.
and we're always near there. But I try to stay out of there because every time I go in,
Yeah.
We come out with books.
yeah, it's kind of like
Yeah.
what was the old electronic store that used to be way up north?
Fry's?
Fries. Every time I left out of there, it was $300 later.
That
and
was a
I
big store.
Yeah, God, it was like every nerd's fan. It's like porn for nerds.
We when I lived in California, we had Fry's.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, you spent money
it's
like
like
crazy.
jacking off to your best centerfold. I mean, oh my God. Yeah, did I say that out loud?
You did.
Thank
and
God
that's
the
okay.
FCC
I mean,
doesn't listen. Yeah.
I mean, some people still do that.
Oh my God. But I mean, it was the I ate
I think
dinner
the
there.
FCC
They
does
had
listen to this stuff.
what now?
I think this is FCC regulated.
My name is Ed Adams, and screw the presidency. Come get me. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, I'll tell you. I always loved that place. I hated when it closed down.
Yeah.
It's really. They had a restaurant. I remember one time going there, spending like 6 hours and eating at the restaurant, eating dinner.
That's crazy.
But anyway, yeah. All that said, we want to bring in people that will fit. Okay, so now you made it. Now you've been told, hey, there's a boot camp. It's going to be about 12 hours. I'm not kidding you. We order pizza. It's an all-day
He's
thing.
not kidding.
No, I'm not kidding you. It's a long-ass draw. Heather, what was your input on the boot camp?
It was long. It was very informative. I learned stuff that I never expected to learn, but it was very long.
It is.
And I have sat through it more times than I can count at this point.
And you're getting better at it, I'll tell you.
Well, the good news is
Yeah.
once you finish that and you go on probation,
Yeah.
just like my home state of Florida, half of the people are on probation. So I felt right at home.
And this is true. Once you get past that, we put you on probation. And people ask, and we now one thing we'll tell you is once you become a member and you go through the boot camp, we give you a partial access to our Spirit Drive. Okay, and it has videos on there. Now, we're one of the few groups, I don't know if any other group has continuing education, has a Pro B system. I guarantee you'll never go through anything like you have here. But once you've accomplished it, it's no different than becoming part of the service. You got something you can brag about. Hey, I made it through. Because I guarantee you, I know five other, I'm trying to say this politely and politically correct, 5 other groups in the city of Indianapolis who will look at you and go, hey, great, come on in. We'll teach you as we go. Yeah, that works well. Anyway, that's why you have contamination in all your damn data.
I'm just disappointed I didn't get an ankle monitor.
We couldn't afford those.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, it's just
It's not too late.
No, but I mean,
almost too late.
new members, you may get those ankle monitors. You never know. They're getting
can
cheaper on
get a
Amazon.
Matchbox
It's Black
and
Friday. I
paint it
mean,
black and tape
Zip
it to-
tie.
yeah, zip tie that some bitch on one way or another. You'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you become a probie, and at that point, after you can't do an investigation till you go through our boot camp. Once you do, you're under the mark. I mean, that probie period, we generally say on average is a year. Now, me and Eric are both probies.
Yeah.
They're not quite a full year, I don't think. I don't remember when you guys came in. You probably know better than I do. I have to
No,
look.
it's so close. Actually, I think it was. Are we sure it wasn't December?
Yeah, it kind of sounded
Sounds
familiar.
about right.
I mean,
'Cause
I'm
usually I
almost
do-
on probation.
Yeah, I know. Usually I do
Woot.
reviews in January. We talk about, because there are standards you have to make. And there's a video for that. Tells you what you got to do as a minimum.
And there's a video for that.
And there's a video for that. Yes, we have lots of continuing education videos. Because why? Because Chief likes cameras and
Like they say at my
microphones.
work, SOP. There's an SOP
Standard
for
operating
everything.
procedure. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
In the military, standard operating guidelines. That's what. But either way, once we're done, you'll know what you need to do. We'll have reviews in January and February. That's why I usually do them. And I'll move you, once I feel that you've completed everything, you'll be moved out of Pro B to veteran status. Now, what's the big deal? There's a ton of stuff. We're not going to turn this video into that. But the bottom line is, it's harder for me, as long as you're a Pro B, I can look at it today and say, hey, Eric, I don't like the way you looked at me. You're out of here.
You wouldn't be the first.
No, there is that, yeah. But, yeah, and by the way, for those working at his establishment, and you know who you are, there'll be reviews come Monday.
I will
after the
tell you
holiday.
that there are
Yeah.
some employees of mine that do listen to this podcast.
Yeah, so for those
yeah.
employees, if you don't sell sex furniture, your shit's out of here. I
Oh,
want you to
boy.
know
You
that.
know
Anyway,
which ones you are.
yeah, you know
Yeah.
who you are. But anyway.
that one is not listening.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
Damn
Yeah.
it. Anyway,
Sorry.
just when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know, once you receive that and you get beyond that, you hit veteran status. And one thing I do as a present to all my vets, once they get there, I buy you your first set of business cards with your name, your phone number, and everything else. These are your personal spirit cards you can hand out. And you get a couple hundred of those. I'm cheap, so you don't get it like 1,000. It's not like Vistaprint. Hell no. You get a couple hundred to start you out, and if you want to order more, that's your money, and I have a site you
get
can
it.
do it through. So anyway, that's where that makes out. So to get out of Proby position, there's a lot of requirements. Certainly loyalty, ability to bond with a team, continuing education you have to go through. There's lots of requirements. You know, but the key thing to understand is just common sense. If you're serious and you want to be part of this group, make it work. And, you know, make it happen, and we'll work with you. If you have a problem and it extends more than a year, that's fine. A year is not the given. It's just a
General guideline.
yeah, it's a suggestion. So, you know, what subject matter experts do we have? Now, let's get into a different area. Subject matter experts. We looking for a real estate broker. We're looking for clergy. We're looking for a lawyer. We have a weatherman. And so we're really seriously, if you're interested in that, let me know. I had a guy recently contact me from Butler University who was a historian. That's great, but we have historians. I don't need those. I need these others. If you're in Indiana and you're interested, by God, don't be a chicken shit. Reach out and send us an email.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, did I say that incorrect? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, logos. Let's talk about what we wear. Uniforms. Everybody talks about our uniforms. Yeah, I think uniforms are important. Now, if you look at TAPS, they don't have uniforms. They wear what they want, and that's fine. They also have a TV show and sponsored
they've been
by
doing
GM.
it
And they've been doing it for over
long.
15
Yeah.
years. Whatever works, lad. You know,
They're recognizable at this point.
that's right, and they don't need shirts. I mean, you know, I talked to Jason at Repaircon. He's a good guy. I talked to Sherry. I talked to Steve. I talked to Tango. And they made their lot in life. We haven't. I'll tell you what. I require you to have shirts, and I'll tell everybody if you're on an investigation or a meeting, I expect you to be in shirt. If not, that counts against you. The shirts, you can pick any one of the black shirts you want, and my lady will embroider them for $6. That's pretty cheap. We have 2 logos. We should talk about this. They're copyrighted. One's a team logo, one is a public logo. The team logo has a state outline with a ghost in the middle and the word spirit. The other just has the word spirit with wispy spoke in the background. That's the public. We use these and we develop these over a period of time. One thing I'm going to tell you is if you're going to join a group, I don't care if it's my group or any other group, you better damn well sit down and think to yourself, do I have this time commitment? It's a lot of time, isn't it, Eric?
It is. And as I do the research, I you know, it reminds me that, you know, you have to be able to set aside this time. You have to be a good time manager because you got competing priorities.
Yeah.
And you have a responsibility to the team as well as your family. So you have to be able to balance that.
And, you know, I don't want anybody to think differently, but I want you to have, you know, first and foremost, God and your family. I want you to be there for him. But, you know, Eric works a lot of time. I mean, he just came from his work to here tonight to do this broadcast. And we're actually taping about 3 episodes. We're going to be here to probably 9 o'clock or so. And, well, it's probably later than that, 10 o'clock. Anyway, but, you know, what the hell we're drinking. But anyway, but the point of the matter being, do you have the time? People think they have the time. And this is the thing I always tell people. Everybody wants to be part of the investigation. That's the glorious...
That's the fun part.
That's the fun part. You're out there, you're in uniform, you're in the dark, you're talking to the ghosts. The next time after that, when you start reviewing evidence, that's when it's not so shiny, it's not so fabulous, it's not so, you know, famous. I always tell everybody, I went on an investigation once that had a Delta faucet. It was proclaimed that the faucet turned on its own. We had to watch 4 hours of a Delta 3203 doing nothing. 2 people. Now, we have redundant backups. So every camera, every microphone, every piece of equipment that records has 4 hours. 4 hours are our average investigation. We're developing this because we're seeing more teams doing 1 or 2 or 3 nights of investigation. At this point, we do one night, 4 hours. So every camera has 4 hours of data has to be reviewed. Every recorder has 4 hours of audio has to be reviewed. If you divide that up, let's say we had 4 cameras and 4 recorders. That's 8 times 4, which is 32 hours. And that means 2 people at 64 hours has to go through it. That's a lot, folks. And it's a hell of a long time to... If you're not willing to go through the data, you don't belong here. And you'll be cut pretty quick. I'll tell you what, I had a young guy, many, many years ago, and he's a good guy. He lived in Bean Blossom, Indiana. He donated money that bought our first Sony 6mm lens cameras that we have now, our stationary, our non-Wi-Fi. And he left a team at the University of Indianapolis because they loved doing investigation, but nobody would ever do the review of evidence. They'd never go through it, so they never could give a report to their clients. That's part of the team. The biggest part of it, the investigation portion is a very small amount. The rest of it has to do with all this behind the scenes you never see. With TAPS and Ghost Adventurers and Wraith Chasers, they have people on the side that go through this shit you never see. They go back to the hotel, they have some drinks, they don't do any of this shit. Except for Dave Schrader. Dave, are you listening? You owe me a scotch. Anyway, they don't do this. So there's a lot to this. So if you're joining our team, you better be goddamn willing to sit down and go through tons and tons of evidence. So anybody want to put in on that one?
I would just say that it's very detail oriented too. Like you
Yes.
said, you can look at hours of footage and sometimes you find nothing. Sometimes you find the most minute amount. You have to, honestly, you have to be very careful and watch everything that's happening.
It can be very quick.
Yes.
One thing.
And it may be very minute. You don't see it, but it's there.
Something that looks like a speck of dust.
It could
be an orb.
So, there's a lot there. There's a attention to detail to no end. If you're not there, you don't need to be a member. So, okay. So, moving past that, donations. How do we operate? Well, let me tell you what, folks. This job pays shit. You ever heard that before? Well, I guarantee you it's worse paid than any job you've ever had. We don't make a dime. We take donations, and most of the time, 90% of the time, it's from our own members. We'll donate stuff. Matter of fact, one of the requirements of going probationary to veteran is to donate something. Now, this is not something where you go, okay, you have to donate $200 or better. That's not the case. There's never a dollar value. It can be flashlights, it can be something. But we put a list down and go, you have to buy something on this list. We want to know you have vested interest. Just recently, we were at Paracon, what was it, 2 months ago? Because what is this? Oh, this is damn near December.
Actually, it's 3.
Almost 3
3
now.
months ago. Yeah, and one of our members bought a paranormal bell from Ghost Stop. We buy equipment, we donate it, and we do the best we can. Now, any money we make goes toward buying equipment. It doesn't go to our pizza parties, advertisements, banners, anything like that. We donate. And, one of the things we'll talk about shortly is my lecture workshops. We make money off of that and so forth, especially off the Paranormal University Masterclass. So, but at this time, we don't charge dues. So, time commitment, again, it's incredible, okay? Meetings. We have a meeting once a month. This is our business meeting. Some drink, some don't. But either way, we have a business meeting. It also involves continuing education. It involves fellowship. And, okay, so we're talking about meetings, and, the bar is open. Meetings last, they start between 6 or 7. Sometimes the time differs. They're business meetings. We talk about good, bad cases, where we're at with advertising. This is and honestly, I have I had a business agenda in front of me. We talk about where our money's at, how much we have, what we're spending it on, social media, IT. We cover it all. It's a good long meeting, isn't it, Eric?
It is. It's usually a few hours, and then the fellowship goes on
a
after
couple
that.
hours. 2.5 hours on average.
Yeah.
where's the meeting held? Okay, that's one question that a lot of people ask. We just newly named this room, and it's going to move. This room is only here temporarily, and it's going to... Long story short, I and Heather moved to a new house, and we involved a new room, which will be a total room for spirit. And what's the name of the room?
The crypt.
The crypt. I think that's pretty cool. We're going to try to make some sort of secret entrance or something as we go along over the next couple of years. It's basically a conference room, has a large conference table. It has lights. It has all kinds of things where you can, outlets where you can charge your phone, whatever you want to do. It's a multitasking room. It has and thanks to Andrew Brooks, has a single-serve K-cup, coffee pot, teapot, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be available. It'll be there. We're going to have a TV where you can watch things. So it'll be an all-around room. Where it's located? Well, become a member and we'll tell you. The crypt is kept secret. What we do during business meetings, of course, continuing education. We're the only group out there I'm aware of that has continuing education. We have fellowship. We get together. We actually have a good time. And, somebody asked me, do we have a bat pole? No, we've looked at a stripper pole, but it doesn't go that high, and it's kind of expensive. So, anyway, the meeting starts at 6 or 7, ends around 9 or 9:30 at times, okay? Investigations, we talk about those. We talk about evidence reviews. We plan that. Sometimes we have sessions where it's not required, but we'll have an evidence review. You can show up here, and we'll go through that. It's a good time. So... there's a lot of bonding capabilities here and PR capabilities as well. Okay, so as a parapsychology group, what do we do? Well, again, I told you we were inspired by TAPS. Price, Funder, Hosler. I mean, there's a lot of people. Warrens even were involved in this. So our parapsychology group, everybody calls their group a paranormal group. What they don't realize is paranormal is a umbrella really an umbrella description.
Umbrella term.
Yeah, it really is. And it covers cryptozoology, ufology. I mean, it covers a lot of things. We're going to say we're not a paranormal group. We're a parapsychology group. Parapsychology involves EKG. I'm sorry, not EKG.
Well, then.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm certainly in the right group.
There you go. Medically, yeah. No, ESP, it covers a lot of things, but we look at the proof of after death. We're after ghosts. So that's our specialization. So we are the oldest parapsychology group in the state of Indiana, continuously operating. Since really the inception of 1999, being fully enforced by 2021, 22, we're there. So, other subjects, no, we don't cover cryptozoology. We don't cover ufology. We take a scientific approach. Now, I told you that I was part of participant observer approach. Yes, that's how I got my training. Since then, we do a debunking approach. We look at every bit of evidence, and we can debunk it. We do. Whatever's left becomes parapsychology related. It's something that's ghost related, paranormal related, whatever you want to call it. It's based on a saying that actually comes out of the inventor Sherlock Holmes. And, when you look at this, whatever, once you've proved everything that's provable, whatever's left is unprovable. So, with that in mind, we're going to talk about our investigating process. First of all, any case, there are some that are live investigations and not live investigations, is the only best way to describe it. We receive a request for help. We've recently done that through the helpline. One of the first things everybody says is, I have a demon. By God, if all the demons were out there, the Catholic Church would not be in the problem it's in nowadays with attendance or anything else. So I'm going to tell you, I'll never tell you. The first question I'm going to ask you is, why do you think you have a demon? And I'm going to listen to what you have to say. I'm not going to tell you what constitutes a demon because then you'll have one. I want you to tell me what you're observing, what you're having, and what's going on. Once you do that, I'm going to tell you more than likely, 80% of the time, 99% of the time, yeah, it's not a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have 3 ex-wives, I can tell you I've seen the fucking evil up close. It's not a demon. Anyway, so having said that, but that's part of, TV, and that's just what we get. That's just part of it. So anyway, you probably don't have a demon, but let's start there. So anyway, at that point, we have to talk about when this comes in. It depends on how it comes in. We have a 24-hour line. It's open 24 hours to all individuals. I'm sorry there. I had to pull up Czar. Czar's here helping us. Bright. Don't lick the mic. Dear God. Anyway, one of the things we talk about is parapsychology, is the fact that, we're available 24 hours. Now, when I say that, and please don't misunderstand this, it doesn't mean that there's somebody live on that phone line. It is not the suicide hotline. If you're committing suicide, call the suicide hotline. If you had a bad date, call the prayer hotline. There is a prayer hotline. We're not it. If you call and there's someone available, this is a Google Voice number. When you call it, it'll ring like 6 or 8 phones. Now, there's 8 people in our group. Heather's qualified. Eric, are you qualified?
I am not yet.
Why not? Oh, anyway, okay. Yeah, this is how I get volunteers. I get them on the radio.
I handle all the demon calls.
Yeah, he handles all the demon calls.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, but no, we're trying to get more people online, but there's a handful of people to answer these, okay? They have to go through videos. They're qualified to do this. It's kind of like, and I don't want to say this because it's not like the suicide hotline. If you feel like you're having feelings of suicide, you need to call a suicide. Don't call us.
Please.
Yeah, please call the suicide hotline. But anyway, what we do is, and we actually are trained in this. We take these calls, okay? So at that point, we're open 24 hours, but if we don't answer, leave a message.
Please leave a voicemail.
Leave your voicemail, leave your name, a phone number, and an email address. Spell both of them out. Count them out by numbers. Please don't just leave them and walk on. Tell us what your problem is. Somebody will get back to you as soon as they can within 48 hours. That's 2 days, folks. So we don't get back to you one day and you go, well, piss on you. I went to another group because you didn't answer. Okay, good luck with that. We have a 48-hour turnaround. You just have to be patient and hang on. I mean, it is what it is. We get to you as fast as we can. Things to expect on the hotline. If you get somebody, have all your facts in a row. Let us know where you're at and what you're doing. We're not gonna send the people from the home warranty or the auto warranty to call you. We just need your number. Having your address. We will not send the federal marshals to pick you up for having been abducted. That's with UFOs. That's not going to happen. But we need accurate information. If you're not willing to give it, don't make the damn call. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you're going to go through our website, through email, be descriptive. There is a form on our website that says need help. Fill it out. If you're not willing to fill it out,
please fill it out completely.
Yeah, if you don't take the time to do it, don't expect me to take my time to get involved in your case. You need to fill it out. We need to know what's there. History and research, interviewing a client. Eric is a research assistant. Tell me about how important research is.
It's so incredibly important. If not, you're working off of assumptions and if they're not correct, then it just throws off everything. You need to have the background information. Also, when we go to do an investigation, we have to know basics about like who may have lived in the house. What are some of the situations that potentially happen, so that way we know who and how to speak.
Exactly. And if you don't give us all the giving us half the information does not work. I'll tell you what, I know people that they don't want to give it all out because they think I'm a nut. Okay, let's look at this. You're calling at
You called us.
Yeah, you called us.
And we're the nut?
and it's 11 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning.
Let's just be nuts together.
Let's work together. Give us the information we need. Let us help you. Help us, help you, just like Jerry Maguire. Okay, so determination of his investigation. There's a lot of things. I mean, we get a lot of cases. I think in this last year, we've had around 85 cases. Now, that's a guess, folks. Okay, and people go, oh my God, you investigate? No. It doesn't work that way. A lot of the cases don't always require a live investigation, okay? Some of them, I'll be honest with you, the majority of cases arrive at our call line or our email between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. And I'll tell you what, we'll look at it, and if someone calls me and says, hey, I think I've been haunted by life, and I'll tell you what, and we're going to go over this, our part 2 of this episode, about the most famous cases we've ever held. But somebody calls me, we had an issue recently where an individual called me up and said, my daughter's seeing these people. They're in her bedroom. This is what happens. I have an older daughter and a younger son, and they don't see them. So here's the case. We started out, as much as my dismay, and we wanted to help this couple so bad. We were talking about furniture in the room, maybe it was attached, and in the middle of this, the daughter apparently decides to kill her parents and get knives out of the kitchen, and she is taken into a full-time psychological ward because of the fact she's a danger to herself and to her parents. It's sad. I wish we could have helped her, but there was something there and we couldn't do anything about it. So, unfortunately, that happens. There's other things that happen. We get a lot of cases this way, but we need all the information you can give us, and we certainly need to make sure that you present it in a way that's logical and clear. So, we always take the scientific approach. If we can debunk it, we will. So don't be offended. If you call us out, remember what Heather said. You called us. We didn't call you. You asked for this. This is where it's going. Now, when we decide we do have to do an investigation, there are several things that happen, okay? At that point, we turn this over to our research manager, which is Jennifer Verne, and our research assistant, which is Eric Kerr. They go through and research the property. In the meantime, our case manager, Heather Lawson, who's online here, helps out with the client identification and so forth. And we take in the interviews, and I usually, or Andrew or Heather will interview these people, and we'll get the idea of what's going on. At that point, we kind of go along, we say, hey, look, we need to decide if this is an investigation we need to hold. If it is, we'll make arrangements. We'll do the investigation. We arrive between 8 o'clock and 4 a.m. Review, we go through, we conduct our investigations, we collect all of our data. And over the following weeks, we will review that data. We'll look at everything. We'll determine what's there, okay? And once we're all done, we'll document it from there out. The other kind of investigation we do is we call training investigations or paid sites. So we'll go to some place like Waverly or Fowler Theater or someplace where we have to make a donation. So when we do that, we take the amount that it requires times the amount of people we have, and everybody pays that portion. We drive up as a group. Everything we do together. One of the greatest times we ever had, and I love to tell this, is after an investigation, whether paid or otherwise, and we stop by a restaurant at 4 in the morning, usually Denny's. Denny's is a good one. What's some other ones? They're like Shoney's occasionally. IHOP. And we go in. And, of course, we're all wearing the same shirts. It all says Spirit Paranormal, Indiana. It takes a good 10 minutes before the waitress will actually get up enough courage to go, are you guys ghost hunters? Yeah. In a roundabout way, yes, we're ghost hunters. And we talk to them.
What does spirit mean?
Yeah. Right. And oh my God, at some point, someone will answer. And we get this wonderful, time we're there. There's a lot of camaraderie. I really look forward to that period of time of investigation where we get a chance to sit and really make a difference. We bond with each other. It's a good time. So, but it does, that is at the end of the night. Remember, you're getting in at 4 in the morning. So you started this operation at 6 or 7 the day before, and you're getting into bed about probably 5 or 6. And you're asleep to 10 or 11 the next day and roll out. So
Wait a minute, you get to sleep until 10 or 11?
Well, some of
I
us
usually
do.
have to work the next morning.
Oh, God, yeah, you get released in that. Yeah, and there's a lot of people the same
we
way
got
as
several
Eric.
people.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
that
I'm not
to.
retired.
Yeah. So, it is. And there's a lot to cases. People ask us, how do you tell if you take them? Some of them have parapsychological backgrounds. And we're going to talk about that. We get into psychological backgrounds where person's medications may be, not correct. You have to work with them. I mean, there's a lot involved here. Where we take the case or not depends upon the face of how it's presented. So, and we're going to leave it there. A lot of times it depends on where the case is at. If it's an apartment or a rental, we have to have the property manager or the owner's permission to do the investigation. And we'll talk about why at part 2 of this episode. If the property is not ours or not theirs, we're going to have permission. Any areas that could cause harm to client or team have to be looked at. We're in abandoned buildings. We have to go in and do a ground sweep of safety to make sure there's no elevator shafts or anything is open that we could fall into in the middle of the night. We need to make sure those are roped off and that we identify those. So turnaround time on a case we investigate and do a live investigation is 2 weeks to get the data back. And I know I owe some people that we moved and that caused some problems, but generally on a normal time is 2 to 3 weeks on turnaround of evidence. In some cases, if they're hot, we'll make it faster, but that's what we're looking at. We need enough people on our team to be able to look at the evidence.
Help facilitate
this in a timely manner. Now, we also do bonding events. Paracons. Paracons are one thing. Some of them I'm asked to speak at, some of them not. They're all continuing education. The daddy of them all was the Michigan Paracon. It was held in Sault Ste. Marie. We went up every year. We've gone up. It's been about 14. Was it 14th?
Yes, this was their.
This was 14th year. Their last year. We've been along for at least 7 of those. We loved it. Continuing education. This is where you meet everybody. This is where Jason, Grant, Steve, Tango, Amy, Adam, you name it. They're all there. Dave Schrader, Greg Lawson.
Everybody but Zach.
Everybody but Zach.
Yes.
And there's reasons for that. But I'm just saying, and I didn't say fuck Zach Bagans. No matter
I'm pretty sure he
says.
hates me now.
Yeah, he hates all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but, this is where it's at. Paracons are your continuing education. There's good time to bond with people, ask questions. Good guys. I mean, we've drank with a lot of them. We talked with a lot of them. We have good we have good relationship ties with those, and we'll talk about that later too. We have a spring fling, which is held here at the location of the crypt. We may have a cookout. We may have a bonfire that night. There's a lot to that. The Christmas party, which is up and coming. This is, this was actually taped during the Thanksgiving holiday, so soon will be the Christmas party. We invite every member and their spouse, and whether it be male or female, and we have a wonderful pitch, and it's a great night. During the fall, we have a movie night. We'll usually host that. Sometimes that falls on Halloween, and we'll go back and look at some old movies. It's a fun night. It's not an educational night. So, anybody want to throw anything on that before I move on?
No, but they're all enjoyable. Everybody looks forward to these.
Yeah.
I do believe that. Our team. If we look at our team, of course, myself, I'm the founder. I work IT. I do lecturing, and I'm the head bartender. I should point that out. Andrew Brooks, he is my chief of staff. He does a whole lot for me. He's my right hand, second in charge. He's also in charge of marketing. He's our lead investigator. So, and again, second in charge. Jennifer Verne, our research manager and podcast director. She's also my third in command, and she is my research manager. Heather, who's here right now, our case manager, podcast director, merch coordinator. She does our intake for our new cases and our treasury secretary position. She reports on the money that we have or don't have in our accounts. Tim Webb is our tech manager and EMS coordinator. Mia Kerr, our social media and PR manager. And then Eric, who's with us today, who's our research assistant, podcast assistant director, and he helps us out where we can. Now, we have 2 subject matter experts. We have Kevin Scott, who's our solar and real-time weather consultant, who will be in touch with us by phone on investigations. And we have Son of Sid. Now, Son of Sid is our very mystical, very mysterious individual. We know he is the son of Sid. We don't know who Sid is. But anyway, he is our electrical engineer and our inventor. He invents a lot of our equipment that we use past it. He's an electrical engineer. We know that. He's well accomplished, and we really appreciate the Son of Sid. He brings a lot to the table. We need a piece of equipment developed. We say, hey, we need something that does this, this, and this on a low budget. He goes down to the dollar store, and, now they closed Radio Shack, and he brings back something we can use. So, that's our personnel. Now, again, we're adding to this, so in the future, there'll be more added to this. The paranormal community. We have a lot of folks in the paranormal community, as I was talking about earlier. Dave Schrader, who did the Hosler Files, he did the Ghosts of Butte, Montana. Greg Lawson, whose family, who's the author of many, many books. Amy and Adam from Kindred Spirits. We have the Taps folks, Jason, Steve, Tango, Sherry. You name it, we talk to these folks. We're intertwined. If we need help, it makes a big difference. It really, really does. So we're connected. And we're connected with other podcasts. I want to recognize Mr. Shortridge, the 222 Paranormal Podcast. Chris and Maria, Traveler's Moon. We've been friends probably the longest of any for podcasters. And, we're out there. We do a lot for a lot of people, and they do a lot for us. We try to forward the science. So, Eric, anything you want to add?
No, I would just add that I'm especially grateful for the Paracon that I just attended, because I feel like I was able to get to know some people, and some actually on a more personal basis, and build relationships. And that's gonna come to fruition on future podcasts.
Oh.
Plug.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I'm just glad that we got to go to the ones that we did, and I'm sad to see it go.
I really am. I enjoyed Sault Ste. Marie. In August, it was great.
Especially in August.
Yeah, get away from the heat of Indiana. It was great to see, of course, ships didn't really entertain me that much, but for those that didn't, it was great. The Overlook Restaurant.
Yes.
Oh my God, great seafood place. To this day, we love that to death. It really a fantastic location. The fudge, the toffee, oh my God. The things that Sault Ste. Marie offered, I'll miss them incredibly. Pure Country, great restaurant. We enjoyed it immensely. Yes. What was the one we went to breakfast at? I can't remember that. Oh my God, great one up there. Yeah. If you get a chance, Sault Ste. Marie, beautiful area. So, well, that wraps up this particular episode. That is a conclusion. And I hope you enjoyed it. I really do. The episode of Ghost was written by Chief and Heather. All right, folks, it's time for the ghost story of the day with Eric Kerr.
This comes from Haunted Indiana, Ghosts and Strange Phenomena of the Hoosier State by James A. Willis. The story is called Counting the Cemetery Steps. It's officially known as Carpenter Cemetery, but locals all know it as the 100 Step Cemetery. It's said to be the perfect place to go if you have a morbid curiosity regarding how you will die. But a word of caution before you go. Make sure you bone up on your counting skills. Otherwise, your demise might come a lot sooner than you think. As you wind your way along County Road 675 West outside of Brazil, you'd be forgiven if you didn't let out a tiny gasp when you come around a particularly sharp bend in the road. That's because sitting alongside the road and literally constructed up the side of a hill is what is known as 100 Steps Cemetery. The name comes from the stone steps that go from the road up the hill to the top of the cemetery. Along the way, there are tombstones, some of which are leaning, or have already toppled to the ground, dotting the hill on either side of the steps. Upon reaching the top of the hill, there are several tombstones, all of which overlook a field. This point is referred to as the center of the cemetery. The legend surrounding this cemetery is one that should be approached with caution. It is said that you must go out to the cemetery at night, or in some cases it must be at midnight. When you arrive at the cemetery, you must stand at the bottom of the steps and then slowly ascend them one at a time, counting them as you go. Once you have reached the top, make sure to face the open field and wait. Eventually, the ghost of the first caretaker of the cemetery will appear and come towards you. When he reaches you, if you haven't already bolted, he will show you a vision that will reveal how you die. Then, his task being complete, the ghostly caretaker will vanish before your very eyes. Then comes the tricky part. Once you've recovered from seeing the vision of your death, you must turn and walk back down the steps, once again counting as you go. When you hit the bottom, if you end up with the same number of steps that you counted on the way up, you're home free. But if you unfortunately end up with a different number, you might want to make a couple of phone calls. That's because you're going to die the way the caretaker foretold that very night. Oh, and just in case, after seeing the caretaker's vision, you get the bright idea of trying to forego the step counting by climbing down the hillside itself, think again. Those who have tried report being shoved to the ground by unseen hands so hard that it left red marks on their backs that did not fade away for several weeks. If you're still thinking you're up for the challenge, here's one final word of caution. It is said that the caretaker, or some other playful ghost, likes to make some of the steps magically vanish, making it quite hard to determine just how many steps there are. Case in point, while it is known as the 100-step cemetery, very few people have ever been able to count more than 65 steps.
Thanks for listening to Ghost to Ghost. Again, I'm your host, Chief Lawson. You can find Ghost to Ghost on all major formats on the 15th and 30th of the month at midnight. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, maybe have a question or subject you'd like to ask about on air, or be used on the show, please email us at ghosttoghost@spiritindiana.com, ghosttoghost@spiritindiana.com. I want to thank my production staff on Spirit, Jennifer Verne, our research manager and our producer, and Heather Lawson, our trainer on Spirit and our podcast director, for helping make these podcasts possible. My chief of staff, Andrew Brooks, for his guidance and help on the scripts, and everyone else involved. Thank you so much. See you next time. Until then, stay safe and remember the truth is out there. Good night. Ghost to Ghost podcast and its contents is the property of Spirit Paranormal Ltd. All rights reserved. We welcome you to download and play the podcast and share with others for personal use. You may not, except with written permission, use or distribute its contents for commercial use. Spirit Indiana Paranormal, covering the Hoosier State since 2002, Indy's oldest parapsychology investigation group. If you're experiencing what you believe to be paranormal issues, reach out to us for help at www.spiritindiana.com or call our hotline at 317-883-9103. Again, that is www.spiritindiana.com or our hotline at 317-883-9103. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself and the ones you love, and be safe out there.